Hey, everybody. Welcome back down the rabbit hole, the go-to podcast for all things blockchain and crypto. I'm your host, Joshua Scigala, and today we're diving into the world of smart contracts and smart contract auditing with our code-cracking superhero, Sankalp Pandey, the brain and the global head of partnerships over at Solidity Scan.com. So yeah, strap yourself in, grab your digital shields, and get ready to explore the fascinating realm of blockchain security. Together with Sankalp, we'll uncover, well, some of the secrets to making the blockchain universe a safer place for all. So yeah, let's let the adventures begin. How are you, Sankalp? Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you so much, Josh. It was a lovely narrative to give an end to for the for the crypto crowds. I really loved it. Thank you for having me on the podcast. I really appreciate it. Quick intro about myself, about the company, what exactly we do, and then probably we can jump in to the questions and for having a casual conversation. My name is Sankalp. I look for the whole global growth and the partnerships at Credit Shields. We are a security audit company, but under the services, we kind of do the smart contract auditing, pen testing, wallet auditing. We have done for the whole chain as well. Cracked something into DeFi spaces as well. But the one who founded the company, Shashank, he was aware of the two things that are going to happen in the Web3 as well. So about Shashank, I'll give a quick intro about himself as well. He was a bug bounty hunter in Web2, and founded multiple bugs in Fortune 500 companies, reported them and made them a pretty safe for the users, of course. While in his own journey of Web2, he kind of figured out two things. One is the early lack of talent, and another is the lack of automations, because manual auditing, of course, are great. No one gonna replace it. But of course, from a business standpoint, it's not scalable at all, right? Let's say tomorrow, if we have a 10 project to audit, and the timeline is pretty strict, of course, human cannot, put a lot of effort. Instead, we have to hire 3 more folks for the auditors to do that. Now, that's called increasing the burn rate instead of, going scalable on the revenue part. Keeping those two base on his mind, he built Solidity Scan. So I, again, look for the whole partnerships and the revenue part, growth part, marketing part for the Solidity Scan as well. Solidity Scan, it's not only a product, it's not only a piece of code that does the scanning. How I see Solidity Scan is a kind of an equipment for the developers, for auditors, or for those folks who aspire to become, in these particular two segments. Because if they both are good, they eventually gonna make a Web3 project, the developers, and auditors will eventually develop their own auditing company. But the problem here is, if a developer is writing their smart contract, and let's say if they have wrote the whole, business logics and a lot of other stuffs, and when they actually go for the audits, the 3 things that he or she doesn't know is the lack of processes, lack of transparency on the cost, and of course, visibility of what exactly is happening inside the auditing company.
Can we just step back a little bit, because I think we're diving a little bit far quickly for our audience. So why, when smart contracts first came out, when we first started, smart contracts have been an idea for a very, very long time in the cypherpunk space, and really, for those that don't know what a smart contract is and what makes it different than a computer program, is that it runs on many computers all at once. So you have, instead of a single computer running a computer program, a smart contract runs the same computer program on thousands of machines. And that way you kind of know that no virus has gotten into every single one of the machines to give you a false answer. And this is very, very important when you're dealing with money and finance, because you need money, especially DeFi, to give you a specific answer that is correct.
Right.
And so if 51% of the network at least say one answer is correct, you can kind of think, okay, well, the chances are that that's pretty sure the correct answer. Now, when the DAO, which was the very first kind of, well, it wasn't the first, but it was the first major DAO that got hacked, we saw the world quickly woke up to why we need contract auditing, because the whole talk was about code is law, and now we're in this new space, and I agree with that. I think code really is the ultimate regulation, because they set the rules. What does regulation means we have rules. We want rules to be in the market. Now, the beautiful thing with smart contracts is the rules are coded into these contracts. And so if there's a little bit of fine print that accidentally got in there or not, some hacker will find it and exploit it. And so we saw that with the DAO, where millions of dollars suddenly got drained out of the contract. So now that we know that, I think everyone is aware that how important it is for contracts to be audited. Now, why I found you guys so fascinating was that you were taking the traditional system of auditing, where you pay a company a lot of money to basically go through the code. And no offense to the industry, but a lot of the time their business model is praying, because they'd be like, you've paid all this money, and then they pray that they found everything. And I mean, that's always going to be a little bit of the case, but I think a lot of people didn't go down that path because it's just too expensive.
Absolutely.
So they just dodged a whole lot, and that's what you guys offered, was a really nice way to automate this process. Take your contracts, and you said it before, it's not a substitute for a manual thing, but it's a great first step. And I think it's a really good one for maybe bootstrapping teams to have a look at a smart contract that they've got, put it in, and see what comes out. So your system takes a smart contract, reads through it, and tries to find vulnerabilities.
Right.
So I just wanted to give that audience that background.
Right.
So
no, absolutely.
Yeah.
And if I add on to the point that you were mentioning since start, right? So let's say if we go to any explorer, if a source code is public, there are two kind of people: white hat hackers and the black hat hackers. We are the white hat hackers, and the companies like us are also the white hat hackers, right? Our intention is to safeguard the ecosystem. And since the code is public, the logic is public, the functions are public, and since, as you rightly mentioned, everything is written in a code, no human intervention, right? So the the black hat hackers always see it's a negative opportunity, but still an opportunity for them to drain out the money, right? Recently, we have seen a lot of hacks. SafeMoon, that has recently hacked by $9 million. There's another DeFi protocol, ShadowFi. It is on BNB chain. They also lost roughly $14 million of their STF tokens. So to sum up, yeah, exactly. Auditing is a must thing. That one should definitely go for it. Coming on to the second point, why Solidity Scan, or probably why the automation is helping a lot. Of course, let's say if I'm a developer and if I'd want to build something in Web3, right now the auditing cost is somewhere between $3,000, $5,000 to go up to millions, like literally millions. And the sweet spot, as per the industry standards, are somewhere between $30,000 to $50,000. Where the monopoly companies are taking the cost like very, very high. So only those 2%. Because of those 2% of the companies, remaining 8% are not able to, or probably 98% are not able to focus on getting themselves saved. Our focus is on those 98%, right? I happen to chat a lot of folks, even the meetups. When I chat with them on Discord, we also host a community calls. While they are in the development cycle, they should also learn about security. Security from a Web2, auditing from a Web2 was always a very niche sort of thing, right? that, hey, auditors are coming up. So auditors was a different category itself, right? To learn auditing, you need to like take a complete career path and go there and go, other stuffs in Web2. But having such platforms actually giving them a leverage in terms of knowledge as well. Why? Because if I talk specifically about Solidity Scan, let's say if there is any smart contract that is gonna scan, we give two important informations about that particular vulnerability. Number one is the remediations as well as the vulnerability descriptions. So developer should be aware that if he's making a burn function public, he should not do it. Anyone can come and burn it. That is the reason why the SafeMoon has they lost around this much amount of money. By the way, we scanned the SafeMoon contract in our platform. We were able to pinpoint that actual vulnerability, that why they actually lost that much amount of money. So yeah, you are right. Such tools are necessary, and I think it is helping the ecosystem a lot in terms of time as well as the cost.
Yeah, another reason why I decided to have this call with you and promote and show the world what you guys have been building is that I really see you guys as a bit of a disruption in the space, because it wasn't, when you hear automation, I automatically think, nah, it's going to be crap. And when I went and checked it out, the detail was very nice. The details that you guys go down to, just even on the free version and the quick scan, is beautiful. And I think this is a really disruptive step to say, look, and I think it's a bit of a selfless step as well, not to go straight for the big money and ask for a lot of money from each, but just to go, look, when we make this space succeed, we all succeed. And I think this space needs proper security audits, because, hey, if we don't have that, we're just going to keep on getting hack after hack. And then what happens? Well, governments step in and go, let's regulate the heck out of the space. And basically it destroys everything. You only get super wealthy coming in and controlling the space because they are the ones that can afford these types of audits. Now, what would you say to developers that are really sure of themselves and say, well, I don't need an audit. It's such a tiny contract. It's fine. We don't need it. What would you say to that?
Look, we have seen a lot of collapses that has happened, right? So even if it is let's say 100 lines of code, it doesn't matter if it is 100 lines of code. You probably be the best developers out in the market, right? Be the best one. Everyone want to be, to hit that mark. But everything revolve, with support of something. So, for example, we are able to make ourselves mature. Why? Because people wrote a lot of bugs in their contracts, right? That is the reason why we're able to pick those patterns. So even right now we are at 121 vulnerability patterns is strong, and additional 43 have still to be added. Right now in the market, no one is able to beat us. But still on calls, on podcasts, on sessions, on talks, I also talk about the false positives that I have. I don't want to put the platform as 100% automation, 100% correction, removal of manual. No, there might be the false positives. Every automation does is the false positives, right? Idea is to mark them up, to fix them up, to learn them up, and then again make it mature. So even if even if the contract is 100% correct, it is, I think, it is always good to check it out. Reason being, so if I talk again about the Solidity Scan, the minimum plan is like $30. If $30 can be investable to make sure that yes, you are okay for your own, own selves, then I think it should not be a problem, to be honest, because $30 is really nothing in nowadays.
Yeah.
But because when you go for a manual check, again they'll give a proposal of $2,000. Then they'll negotiate. They'll come back to $1,500.
And those 2,000, we've been down that path. And even those $2,000 is like, it's really, they just sort of, yeah, I think it's all right. Like it's amazing. Like our developers were like, what? No, this is such a waste of money. purely
that,
because
and that too, let's say if I wrote a smart contract, right, and if I give it to some manual check company, right, they will give you a timeline of 2 weeks, and it probably wouldn't take more than 15 or 20 minutes for them to just read the whole logic, because everything is in their mind, right? Instead, platform only take 25 seconds. 25 seconds. So the kind of value that automation is adding up to that contract is enormous. Again, repeating, false positives might be there, but
yeah.
you know, that's gonna be there. Even if some X company that may bring up any good platform better than Solidity Scan, initially, it takes a lot to beat us, to be honest with you. But even if eventually they do it, false positives are gonna be there as well, right? So yeah, that is the only thing. To sum up, whatever contract you have written, I think it's good to be checked with some of the platforms, or probably some good auditor, for sure.
Now, I found you guys through the Polygon ecosystem. The whole layer 2 of Ethereum I find fascinating, especially the zero knowledge proof stuff. I think it's really, really cool, and that's what we're building the standard.io on. And the standard is, as you know, it's the next generation of DeFi lending, and it's we really need security, because we're allowing users to lock up funds into smart contracts. And so I think one of the things that when thinking about auditing is, what sort of smart contracts are you writing? For instance, bridges need to be super secure because they store a lot of value, depending on the type of bridge. Now, the new types of bridges actually send to burn and then regenerate on the other side, so the bridge is never holding massive amounts of value. But the traditional bridge, you would put an ERC20 in there, it would store it and lock it and mint a coin on the other chain, and then when that comes back, that would be burnt and released. Right. Anyway, what I find interesting is that if you've got a smart contract that is maybe a GameFi contract that doesn't store funds, it's not as imperative, generally speaking, it's very general terms here, than if you're writing smart contracts that actually hold user funds, because these become honeypots for a lot of people. What are you seeing in the space where people are mainly using security audits for, and what sort of contracts we say that you don't really need them yet? What sort of projects?
So to answer the first zero knowledge proofs thing, right? We are ready for the zero knowledge proofs. So we are completely ready. Reason being, we do not come on the transaction layer. We come on the smart contract layer. Even if they build something else, but if it is run by smart contract, Solidity Scan is a perfect tool for them. So ZK is perfectly good to go with Solidity Scan. That's number one. Second, for the DeFi, of course, you are absolutely true. There's a million trillions of billions of monies locked. Some good dexes, swaps, indexes, derivatives. A lot of DeFi terms are there. Recently came across CDPs, where you can put up your collaterals in exchange of the cryptocurrencies, which is again a kind of a very sensitive, reason being that it is bypassing by another a protocol, but swapping these two tokens around them. So yeah, and in terms of smart contract, I believe for the DeFi smart contract, what I'm assuming is, though I'm not a DeFi dad, too much into a tech of the DeFi, but still, on a superficial level, probably I can say that whoever is entering into the borrowing lending, or probably the swapping or cross-chain swapping, interchain swapping, I believe every smart contract they are writing should be saved, right? So Solidity Scan as a team, what they did is we kind of went a step ahead, right? So Solidity Scan is a whole license-based software, but then we kind of made our two kind of APIs. One, we say it as a rug pool based API, and another is called, we say, as a license based API. So to answer your DEXs and the swapping question and the DeFi based protocols which are allowing this the transportation of the smart contracts. So let's say if there is any DEX that is let's say if I'm building a DEX, right? And so let's say if I go by the definition, anyone can come and list their tokens on the DEX, right? And again, I'll take a cross-chain bridge example. So these two examples are there. Now on a DEX, let's say if there are 4 tokens that are coming up. Now if I am an owner of the DEX, I cannot afford my users to get regged, right? Because of some shit tokens came up on the listing part. Some smart contract movement is happening over there. Interactions are not good. Some source code is not good. What we are kind of trying to set this narrative in the sense that everything as an application layer, right? Everything as a layer, right? Transaction layer, smart contract layer. We are aiming to put a security layer over the protocols. It simply meant whenever a smart contract will interact with the protocol, either it can be a DeFi, it can be a whole blockchain explorer, it can be an NFT marketplace, it can be an NFT utility-based protocols, right? It can be a socials as well, where profiles are getting interacted with each other.
Yeah.
They'll go via the Solidity Scan layer. We kind of, we already prepared though. So we are gonna put up the 2 major, how do I put it? Categories, one into security score, another into rug pool based score, probably the threat score. So now probably I, being as a DEX owner, now at least will have some accountability for the users to show that, hey, this token will have a less security score, or probably is having a less security score or the threat score. You do the trade according to yourselves, right? And of course we can rank it accordingly. Similar, I'm exploring with the centralized exchanges as well. Centralized exchanges are also listing their tokens, so you never know which is gonna got scammed. So again, we can put up the smart contract layer over it. Whoever, or probably when they are trying to put their smart contracts or probably the tokens on the on the listing part, again, a security of the threat score will show up over there.
Yeah, awesome. I was talking to a developer the other day, and they said, yeah, we were looking at contract auditing, but we don't really need it. It's not, it's the contracts, it's pretty good, and we believe, we know what we're doing. And I said to him, well, there's 2 reasons you have a smart contract, because I advise a few projects as well. I said, there's a few reasons why you want an audit. You might feel confident with yours. So one reason is if you're developing, you don't want to launch it and then get hacked. Okay. Now, the other one is the user that cannot read the smart contracts and wants to know, has someone independently checked this code? Because a lot of developers just see it from their side. They just think, oh, well, there's no vulnerability here. I've checked it. But actually what it is the user doesn't know. They don't know how to read code. They want that little check mark to say that somebody else has read it. Right. And for that reason, then they feel confident at least partaking or supporting the project with their funds, investing or whatever you want to call it. And so I think, I think that's really important to remember, is that there's 2 sides of auditing. It's kind of like if you're running a business, you might say, I don't need an auditor to come into my business because I know my books are good. But maybe the bank doesn't know your books are good, so they want a third party to look through it and check your books. And so, this is why it's also very important.
Third point of view is always required. You cannot be. So I'm a firm believer of not doing the things by yourself. You should have someone like a mentor, or probably some a general psychology of my what I follow, or probably someone who is accountable, right? So when you are someone to accountable, they will have another point of view to see the things. Similarly, on the smart contract point of view, probably or from a checking point of view, yeah, I mean, you should have at least, even if you're not paying, even if your friend is an auditor, you should go and advise him. You should take an advice of him. At least go and give your code to him if you cannot
Yeah.
afford to pay, because he will have a very different mindset to see the code. I mean, he will look for the how do I put it, for the bugs. Basically, you look for the money point of view, but he look for the breaking down point of view, that who can
Yeah.
break it, how to fix it. That is the whole thing.
Yeah. So one of the things that I found, when as these large language models came out and a lot of AI started coming out, what I found some contracts through them. Asked ChatGPT to basically hack them to see if there's something there, and there was a couple of vulnerabilities in somebody's contract that I found online. I contacted them and said, "Hey, you should maybe update your contracts. This looks pretty sketchy," and they were very thankful for that. And that was a very easy thing to do. Are you guys looking to integrate maybe some of that as a second layer into Solidity Scan to say, like, check mark to allow also an LLM to look through the code as well as known, because you've got how you guys, correct me if I'm wrong, how you guys work, you have already very known vulnerabilities, and you've got like a database of that, and you've got some logic and some algorithms that search through the code and look for these known vulnerabilities. The good thing with these LLMs, there is some of their own, there's some reasoning, I think, in this, so they can kind of find vulnerabilities even that aren't even known yet to anybody.
I'll actually explain you how we function, and how we are not kind of against the AI, but we are also exploring it to fit in the right use case. We don't want to act like a typical a company like Pep. Probably you might have seen the token Pepe, right? $2 million we got pumped up, right? So we don't want to be in that space, got AI thing, and then we got pumped up. No. So I'll tell you how we function. How our engine works. So in the credit shields banner, we do the manual checks as well. Now, under the manual checks, whatever the audits that we are doing, or that we are done, or which are in the pipeline as well, auditors. So by the way, we have a pretty good number of security researchers from Web2, or some notable guys from the hackerman communities as well, which are close to very Shashank's in network. So while doing these manual checks, we kind of see the patterns, right? Now, if one single pattern, let's say approve function, is repeating again and again over the period of time in the multiple contracts, and in some of the hack approve functions, due to the approval function, some of the contract may got hacked as well. Now we have to flag this vulnerability as a high, or probably we have to put this in the platform, right? ChatGPT is great. ChatGPT is awesome, but up to a certain limit, right? Why? Because there are few vulnerabilities which are readily available on Google. You go and write smart contract vulnerabilities, you will get a list of somewhere between 85, 87 vulnerabilities only. But how we are able to achieve 121 is by our thorough research, or probably by doing a lot of audits that we are already done, as I said, right? That is the niche, that is the whole core, probably the engine of the platform, because this is what this is what making us very differentiate from the other platforms, or itself from a ChatGPT, or probably for any other AI. Though we have got some good feedbacks in terms of integrating the LLMs, again, security team is on top of it. Cannot say where exactly the use case can be, but somewhere in the while doing some checks or removing some false positives, of course, on that front we can explore. I'm not committing it, but still, this is the potential.
I definitely would like to see it just as an extra check mark, as a bonus thing, not something that integrates deeply and says this is the final truth. Just like, this is our normal audit, and by the way, ChatGPT also got a an orange or a green or a blue, some sort of like scale, or found something, or didn't. So I think just an extra would be a nice little layer on top, and then you could even like pay extra for a manual, someone to come in and manually.
I mean, and that too, we won't be integrating any OpenAI or ChatGPT 3 or 4. We are kind of gonna be built our own LLM because we have our own data set. Now this data set cannot be read by ChatGPT like just like that. Even we have to connect OpenAI, a lot of other stuff. Better to code our own LLM so that it can be scalable as well. What if ChatGPT, do something like very weirdly in the next month? I mean, we'll get stuck, right? So it is always good to have our own system in place that is further scalable, and
absolutely, and it would be dedicated to that specific training set. So you would train it on just smart contracts with vulnerabilities or without. I think it's true, and the thing is, like, anyone can grab their contracts and just throw them through GPT anyway. So it's much better to train your own on a whole bunch of smart contracts. I think it's a great idea.
GPT is, I think, is helping a lot of folks who are entering into an auditing business. Let's say if I'm a freelancer auditor, not sure about too much of the vulnerabilities because of course I don't have the contract to do a lot of audits, but I would want some money, so I'll take some open source scanners which are already available in the market, as well as some ChatGPT based platforms. I mean, these are things that are helping them a lot, to be honest.
Where do you think this is going? Like, where do you think auditing and smart contracts going? Where do you see it in the next 5 years? How do you see the industry changing?
From a security standpoint, from a smart contract security standpoint, if you see from my specs, I want to keep, or probably I want to position Solidity Scan as a security layer of the protocol. If I sum up in a one single line, it explains a lot of things, right? Let's say we have recently partnered with the Reef Chain. Just give an example. Reef Chain's Explorer, imagine having a security layer over it. So whoever is deploying the smart contract over them, it is again the same story which I told you in the Dex's part as well. So I want to crack like every use case. There's an application layer, there's an entity layer. Yesterday I was in one of the meetup, they were talking about some recommendations algorithm over the socials discussions. So recommendation algorithm layer they are talking about. So why cannot we have a security layer itself? In the longer run, I'm not sure if someone can build a blockchain it's on the security use cases itself, like, right? I don't know, but like, it can go anywhere. But if you ask from Solidity Scan standpoint, I want to take platform at a level where this can act as a security layer over the protocol. That's it, period.
I think that's really interesting. The thing is about security, it's always an arms race. It's the hackers it's the black hats against the white hats against the developers. It's an arms race constantly, and so that's where I see that kind of being hard to build in the security layer, the base layer of a blockchain. I think would be very difficult because it's always evolving and changing. But nevertheless, I really love what you guys are doing. I think it's very, very interesting. Sankalp, where can people reach you if they want to learn more? How do they find you? Where are you?
Twitter, Solidity Scan. You write it. Can I put the social links here?
Yeah, I'll put the links in the description below. The video. So and what about Twitter and anything like that?
So my Twitter would go like SKY_Sankalp. This is the one. And of course, Solidity Scan website is the first go-to thing to check it out. If you allow, probably I can give a very short demonstration of the product. Let's
do that. All right, let's do that.
Yeah. I also would want to take you another activity which we are selflessly doing for the developers, and how we are able to crack a lot of things from there as well, in terms of the traction, of course. Just give me a second. Yeah, I'll just share my screen in a minute. Is it visible to you?
Yep.
All right. So this is what my baby looks like. Uh, it's green and some sort of bluish. It will give
Nice.
you. By the way, we were featured as a #1 product of the month in the month of March as a product hunt.
Oh,
We were
wow.
able to score around, if I'm not wrong, 240, 250 upvotes from the community. A very supportive community,
Nice.
to be honest. Yeah.
Nice. Well done. Well done.
So,
Congrats.
uh, since being a cloud-based software, though we have a MetaMask sign-in as well, my platform is, of course, my account is already signed in. So
Mhm.
once anyone go to dashboard, so it's a very basic yet very powerful and intuitive tool. So very few features you will see, not a too much of exhaustiveness. User will go here and there, not a too much into it. In a home page, it will allow you to inject your smart contract. There are three ways. Either you can connect your GitHub, be it private or public. Second is you can upload .sol file. This is highly recommended for the developers, because they are writing. They're already writing their .sol file. This as well. Of course, we are coming up with a very great update in the next month itself. Probably second week of May, we are going to launch it. Third is, of course, you put up the verified contract. So what it does is, whatever the verified contract that are right now on chain, you can, be it on testnet or mainnet, you can just go ahead, put up the smart contract, select on which chain it is. Right now, we are supporting Etherscan, Binance, Avalanche, Polygon, Phantom, Reef. As you saw, we have partnered with them. By the way, we also partnered with their XTC as well. The partnership is yet to announce, though I've already said it before I put up on the socials. So
You heard it here first, folks. Down the rabbit
my
hole.
social media guys are gonna beat me for sure, but let's see. uh, cool. I'll gonna scan a very random contract.
All
I'll
right,
let
let's do it.
Josh. You tell me which one should I pick up.
Oh, let's get I don't know, Atom token here.
Atom token. Okay.
Yeah.
What you need to do is you just go ahead and pick up the address, paste it here, select the platform on mainnet, start scanning.
All right, and up the top there, you've got scan credits,
Yeah.
top right.
Yeah.
So you get a bunch of free ones at the start. Is that right?
So in trial we give two. I think we give two.
Yeah.
But of course, it perpetually get increased when you pay for it.
Yeah, but it's very cheap. It's fantastic.
So just scan happened in last 13 seconds, or probably in 12 seconds itself. The whole smart contract length was somewhere between this. You see the length of the code.
Yeah.
1531 lines of code happened in like 12 seconds. When
Yeah.
you open it, Atom token, it will show up the security score into a pie chart.
Oh, 7 critical.
Yeah, 7 critical. We should report it to them, by the way.
Yeah.
Critical, high, medium, we flagged it as exploitable vulnerabilities. Low and informative are just for the sake of informative. That platform has flagged it. It depends on you whether you want to fix it or not. They're not exploitable. And in the Q3 of last year, we came up with the gas based optimization of the code, and this was really game changing for the developers, because what is happening with the gas fees on the chains. So everyone is trying to save on that front.
I think
So
that's fantastic. Really cool.
so overview will give a very 20,000 feet overview of what exactly security score is. When you go to the detailed results, let's say if I click on this particular vulnerability, it will highlight the whole, that particular line of out of that whole code. Description is something which I was talking about, along with the remediations. Now, now we have to understand one thing: it's an automation, right? So as I said, it may or may not be an exploitable vulnerability for the developer who was writing the contract. In that case, go ahead and write the, you can write a content that comment that, hey, this is not an exploitable vulnerability, or I don't want to fix it. And this whole comment will also show up in the report, the final audit report as well.
Awesome.
The same thing that you can do with the false, you can take some actions as well. Let's say I mark this particular vulnerability and I just mark the false positive. So it's not like we are only saying, we are also allowing in the dashboard to go ahead and mark the false positives. And let's say if there's a developer, who was just rescanning, fixing, and once everything is done, you can go ahead and regenerate the report.
Yeah, great. Fantastic. And what do you get at the end? You get an audit certificate.
This is what you're going to need. This is an audit report, which is very, very near to the manual check report. If I'm assuming users probably might have, audience probably might have seen it.
Yep.
Contract name, which are the contract address, on which platform it is, which chain it is, what is the URL, what was the summary, how many false positives marked, how many pending fixes. Of course, pending fix would be 0 at the time he was fixing it. I'm just demonstrating it here. The list of whole vulnerabilities will come up here along with the bug IDs, with the description, with the remediations, and this can be publicly available.
Awesome.
And when you go down, of course, it will show them disclaimers and terms and conditions, which every company has, by the way.
Yeah.
Another thing which I was mentioning about is the quick scan. This is open to all. I say as a permissionless, no need to sign up, nothing. You just come here, select the chain on mainnet, put up the contract, start scanning. It will give you a very soft audit, or probably a very soft touch of the vulnerability descriptions of that particular contract. For example,
so even so,
security score, very same, critical, high, medium. Of course, you won't be able to see the descriptions because you need to, it's a paid, that is the only value proposition of the platform. But of course, you'll be having a source code verified or not. Minting function, it's not present. They should have it, of course. ERC token, yes. Some basic checks. Checks.
Yeah.
And these checks are actually important for the person who is going to trade it. So this particular screen is a perfect fit for the DEXs.
Yeah, it's a great tool for the user. If you're out there, folks, and you're thinking, I'm interested in investing in so-and-so project, you can just grab the contract address, throw it through here, and then talk to the team and say, hey, I threw it through Solidity Scan, through the quick scan, and 3 criticals came up. Can you explain what they are? Or I'm not going to do anything without you guys fixing them first. So I think that's really, really cool. I think it's a really great system. And Sankalp, thank you so much for showing it. And I wish your team much luck. I'm sure we're going to see a lot more of you guys in the space. Like you saw there, folks, they're working really on a lot of different chains and good people as well behind it. So thanks very much for coming and being on the show. And I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys come up with next.
Thank you so much, Josh. Really thank you for having me here. It's really appreciated, of course. I think users should know how we got connected. It's a very strange connect. So I happened to stumble upon the Polygon Discord, was presenting the same which I was presenting just right now. Josh saw the value over there and just pinged me, very immediately pinged me, hey, let's get on a podcast or something of those sorts. Like, great, let's do it. So I really appreciate your time as well. Wish you good luck with the Senate.io as well. And let's see what together we can explore in the near future. So
awesome. All right. Well, folks, until next week, I'm Joshua Scigala, and we'll see you down the rabbit hole.